in Pompano, 8 championship races. And coming up next, we will have the horse pace as the action really gets furious for our last 2 live races of the evening. Sandman Hanover, who is one of the favorites in the horse and gelding pace, was bred at the legendary Hanover Shoe Farms in Hanover, Pennsylvania. Hanover Shoe Farms is the leading money-winning breeder in the standardbred racing industry. John Pavlik takes a look at the farm rich in tradition.
South Central Pennsylvania is horse country, and the Hanover Shoe Farm, in existence since 1926, has become the largest standardbred nursery in the world. Much of the credit goes to former champion driver and current Hanover Shoe Farm president, John F. Simpson.
I was nicknamed the Iron Man because I kept going night and day.
My father's, I'm not going to say he's a tough man to work for, but he is.
I guess you could call him a little bit of a perfectionist. I think everything has to be perfect.
He came to Hanover Shoe Farms, and it made it one of the outstanding nurseries in our business.
Selecting stallions and broodmares and running a breeding operation is much harder than training and racing a stable of horses, in my opinion. You're breeding for the market. What will the public buy from you? You'd like to have them in your own stable, but you can't do that. You know that. You've got to sell some of them to pay the bills to raise enough next crop of colts. Frankly speaking, the business is great and all that, but it will put gray hair in your head, or so to say white, over the years.
Like his stallions, Simpson, president since 1968, hasn't slowed down. Although a racing accident in Delaware, Ohio in 1950 left him with a degenerative eye condition. Today, he is legally blind.
It is tough, being blind. You can't read, and you have people read to you. And I'll tell you, it isn't easy. But you can't give up. You can't say, well, I can't do that because I'm blind. You just have to keep going. It's the way I've tried to attack it and live.
Simpson's drive and dedication has worked in his favor as Hanover continues to attract fans from across the country.
There isn't exactly just one thing that makes Hanover special. It's everything.
One thing about Hanover Shoe Farms that makes it special is the acreage we have. We have 4,000 acres.
Just the tradition of Hanover in itself, you know that they've raised their colts well, and they have quality horses.
We're conditioning these horses, these yearlings, to be what they're bred to be, and that's athletes.
I often tell everybody when I want a world champion, I come to Hanover and buy one.
Hanover is #1. And the only thing I can say about that, it's difficult to manage and keep a big farm going like this because you're at the, well, it's the power of the buyer. And to start a farm today, well, I wouldn't at my age, but if I were younger, I'd have to think a long time before I started building more fences and developing more pasture land and building more stables. The market is down right now. How much longer we can stay as large as we are is anybody's guess. If it doesn't improve, we can't.
But John Simpson keeps it all in perspective.
Hanover Shoe Farms is special to me, and I'm prejudiced. You must understand that. It's because it is the greatest farm, and as long as I live and have anything to do with it, I want to keep it that way.
Sandman Hanover, bred at Hanover Shoe Farms, and certainly one of the candidates to win this race, the 9th race on tonight's card.
Well, of course, he'll team up with Pilgrim's Patriot as 1 in 1A, part of a Lugada entry. Sandman Hanover won the Messenger Stake last year. He's been 1st or 2nd in his last 9 starts, and he is a $1 million winner.
And there's Top Notcher. I mentioned Doug Brown might have back-to-back winners. Good chance here with Top Notcher.
And another $1 million earner in that field.
9th race is coming up, the horse and gelding pace. Welcome back to South Florida. And here's a look at the Breeders' Crown, tonight's 9th race, the horse and gelding pace. The odds, as you can see, Sandman Hanover and Pilgrim's Patriot are coupled as an entry, owned by LPG Standardbred Associates, being held at 6-1. Dare You 2 at 2-1. Dare You 2 set a Pompano track record 2 starts back. And Top Notcher, the public's choice at 3-5 from post position number 8 And there's Top Notcher, driven by Doug Brown and trained by Renee Larman. So this is a good group with Mystery Fun and Dare You To and Storm Compensation. But which horses are the ones to beat? Let's find out. In the horse pace, Top Notcher is one of the top contenders to win it all. Last Saturday night, he turned in an electrifying track record performance against not only the best pacers in tonight's field, but also the likes of Caesar's Jackpot and Kiev Hanover. He got to the lead early and wired the field. Top Notcher was simply the best of the bunch.
And the tempo quickens as they head into the final turn. Top Notcher has had it all his own way. Kiev Hanover has had the perfect pocket trip. Caesar's Jackpot within striking distance. And Dare You To is on the outside. 3 quarters, 1:24.4. That third quarter in 27.3. They've got less than an inch of the law of pace. And now Harold Kelly's going to work on Top Notcher. He responds by opening up by 2. Kiev Hanover on the outside. Caesar's Jackpot closing in. They're coming to the wire, and Top Notcher takes it in 1:52.2.
Trainer Renee Larman was pleased, but still knows tonight will be tough.
7 other good horses in there. It's going to be very tough.
One of Top Notcher's toughest challenges should come from millionaire pacer Sandman Hanover, who he did not face last week. Trained by Ken Sieber, this 4-year-old big towner is coming up to this race in fine fashion. After being freshened in June and July, he has finished no worse than second in his last 7 pari-mutuel starts. The 1989 winner of the Messenger Stakes has faced the best free-for-allers in North America this year. And coming off a qualifier at Pompano, this speedball should be ready. We're just 2 minutes to post for tonight's horse and gelding pace, and one of the horses that's an interesting one is Bay's Fella, number 4, who made a break at the start of last year's Breeders' Crown, but is the only returning Breeders' Crown starter in this field. And for more on Bay's Fella, let's check in with Stan Bergstein.
Follow this story now. They're 20 golfing buddies. They keep talking about buying a racehorse. Finally put up $600 apiece. They find an owner that wants to disperse his stable, and they buy a horse from him for $8,000, figuring that'll leave him $4,000 to train it. Now they have a horse and his equipment, but no trainer. They found a young fellow who is training high school students in how to be harness horses. They gave a harness horse trainer. They gave him the horse. Bay's Fella called himself the Par Birdie Stable, and the horse won $604,000. Many of the 20 are here tonight. I'd like to say Bay's Fella has a good chance. I don't think he has a shot, but the weather is good. There are plenty of golf courses around here, and they can't take away that $604,000. That was no birdie, boys. That wasn't par. That was an ace. Bruce?
Thank you very much, Stan. I wouldn't know much about birdies and pars. I'm trying to get down to bogey golf.
And you may never know about an ace in the game of golf, I'll tell you that, because that's about the hardest thing. But interesting story about Bay's Fella.
We are 1 minute to post. I mentioned earlier, Dare You To set a Pompano track record 2 starts back, 151-4. And Dare You To is getting some support at 5-2. But Gary, sometimes when a horse has such a brilliant race mile, 1 week or 2 weeks before another event, sometimes doesn't have much left. What do you expect from Dare You To? As we look at the post positions, by the way, in addition to the head numbers, that indicates where each of these horse pacers will leave from in tonight's race.
Well, of course, Top Notcher has the outside spot. Sandman Hanover's at the rail. Dare You To just about right in the middle of those two. Post 3, which is a good spot. The thing about Dare You To, he got a lot of help from A.J. Stormonter in that 151-4 mile here a couple of weeks ago. He made a big sweeping move and came on, but he probably has some left because he wasn't really used all that hard in that big effort.
Now, Mystery Fund is the last horse ever to beat Goalie Jeff. He won with Waples the only time he ever drove the colt, and Waples is driving Mystery Fund tonight. This Mystery Fund has driven on 12 different tracks in 1990. He has been a world traveler.
Kind of like you, Bruce, to a degree. He also has a mark of 52-1 this year, which is certainly respectable. Mystery Fund is definitely a contender here, and you can see the way the purse breaks down for this event.
So it will be a field of 8 with Sandman Hanover and Pilgrim's Patriot as the entry. $136,000 to the winner. And remember, this field also conspicuously absent TK Skipper, who has been hurt, and Do Run Run Bluegrass, who is not eligible. So two of the top older pacers in North America are not here for this particular event.
That, of course, is true. You still have a very competitive field for the horse and gelding pace. It would be probably a little bit different if those two were in this field as well.
I guess the real question about Top Notcher is the fact that he's had so many big wins in Canada this year, but has had only one win in the United States, and that was at Hazel Park in the Lake Superior pace. And Top Notcher won at Pompano last week and earned some respect. And I think that trainer Renee Lehrman wants to do it for the big money this time around, and of course the recognition that goes with it.
Well, there were several people here last week, Bruce, when Top Notcher won in 52-2 that were just so happy that he went off at 7-2 because they believe very strongly in this horse.
Here is the field behind the starting gate. As we mentioned, head numbers are different from post position, and Top Notcher with Doug Brown once again will have to leave for the outside. Closest to us, keep in mind, is the rail, the inside position, and Top Notcher at the top of your screen means he is the furthest away from the rail.
Well, Top Notcher had post position 6 in his recent Pompano Park outing, and the field was not that much weaker than it is because you had Caesar's Jackpot and Kiev Hanover in there. Indeed, it was a strong field, and Top Notcher made the top as pretty much as easily as he wanted to, and I don't see any problem with him doing the same here.
So we're getting set for tonight's 9th race, the horse and gelding pace. By the way, to be eligible for the Breeders' Crown, stallions of racehorses must be nominated by a breeder by a certain date. Owners must make sustaining payments during the year of the race, and owners must then pay a starting fee. Divisional honors on the line in this race tonight. If Top Notcher wins, he would have a very good shot at winning the age pacing division. We are live in Pompano Beach, Florida, at Pompano Park, the winter capital of harness racing. They race here 155 nights a year. The world record is 151-2, set by TK Skipper at Los Alamitos. The Pompano track record is Dare You To, set just 2 weeks ago, 151-4. Here's an update on the odds, with Top Notcher getting the most play at 1-2, meaning if you bet $2, you get back 3. Not much of an investment there. Dare You To is 3-1, the second choice.
What a night this could be for Doug Brown. 2 wins and 2 outings here. Town Pro and Top Notcher. He won't tell you much about it, but I'm sure he's feeling it right now.
Let's go up to one of the top track announcers in all of North America, whether you're talking standardbreds or thoroughbreds, Tom Durkin.
Top Notcher, of course, heavily favored here, and big money on the line if he wins. Not bad money if you finish second, $68,000, and even a good night's work, even if you finish 5th in this race, $13,600. Gate picking up speed, and they're off. And from the middle of the pack, Ace Fella, driven hard early to get the early lead. On the outside, Top Notcher has come out second. He's driving hard, 3 wide going into the third. Down inside, Sandman Hanover is there, racing in 3rd position now. 2.5 lengths back to Mystery Fund, who's now 4th. Dare You 2 is under a hard hold by Jack Moisiev, racing now about 6 lengths off the lead. The field now coming into the lane for the first time. Top Notcher's in gear. A sizzling opening quarter of 27 1/5 seconds. Passing us now for the first time. Top Notcher taking command. Bay's Fella has yielded the lead. Sandman Hanover is racing in 3rd. Off the rail, Mystery Fund is now 4th. Dare You 2 right at his heels. Line 1 down on the inside, followed by Pilgrim's Patriot. Storm Compensation trails the field as they round the second turn. As Top Notcher dictates a strong pace, and the Bay's Fella is now second, 56-2 for the half mile. Bit of a breather there for Top Notcher, who leads the way into the wind and down the backstretch. Mystery Fund edging closer on the outside. To the inside, Bay's Fella 3rd. Dare You 2, a good second over trip. He's only 3 lengths off the lead of Top Notcher. Down on the inside, Sandman Hanover, nowhere to go. Storm Compensation is launching a 3 wide bid for the back of the pack. Then Pilgrim's Patriots in between horses. And down on the inside, line 1. 3/4 in 1:24-3. And the field coming to the top of the stretch here in the Breeders' Crown. And Top Notcher still in charge. Dare You 2 is forced to go 3 wide into the lead. Top Notcher in front and driving hard, holding on to the lead. Bay's Fella attacks on the outside. Top Notcher still there. Bay's Fella surging. running from just off the pace in the final surges and scores a 60-1 upset here over heavily favored Top Notcher.
Well, I'll tell you, that's not a par, that's an eagle. Scored by Bay's Fella, a 60-1 long shot on the board. The 5-year-old by Brand New Fella out of the Tarboy mare, Basin Bay, roaring from behind to defeat Top Notcher, and we have our first upset of the night.
Indeed, our first upset of the night, Bruce, and a 152-1 new personal best for Bay's Fella, who was used pretty well in that first quarter mile there in 27-1. And of course, they moved him right away from the gate and tried to get a good early spot. That's exactly what happened. And Bay's Fella had enough kick in the final strides to get up and beat a very tough Top Notcher. All the credit in the world to Bay's Fella.
And Bay's Fella driven to victory tonight by a name that you probably don't know all that well, Paul McDonnell, who is an up-and-coming driver on the tough Canadian circuit, and he gets the job done. What a thrill this must be for him tonight, coming down to Pompano Park and winning the Breeders' Crown with Bay's Fella.
Of course, Bruce, you can see that Sandman Hanover really had no place to go for John Campbell. Locked in most of the mile and then locked in by Bay's Fella when they were coming to the wires. So Sandman, not much of a factor because he had no room.
Bay's Fella lights up the tote board, the longest price in the history of 7 years of Breeders' Crown competition, $140.60. Went off at 69-1 or thereabout. 1160 returning for the place, 360 to show. Top Notcher second, the heavy favorite, 280 and 220. Sandman Hanover was third, $2.80. And the time of the mile, 152-1. Let's go to John Pavlak.
Well, you knew that the favorites couldn't last here, and Paul McDonnell, driving in his very first Breeders' Crown, gets the job done. This young man is trembling a little bit. I don't know if the excitement has really set in. How old are you, Paul?
27.
27. What were you doing when you were 27? Perhaps not winning the Breeders' Crown. All right, let's talk about the race. You had some good gate speed with your horse.
Yeah, he's very fast off the gate, and I just hope that he could get there first before the turn.
We talk, there's such a thing in this business as a perfect trip in behind a fast pace setter, and that's what you had tonight. Take nothing away from your horse.
That's true. That's the trip that I wanted. Top Notcher, he was sure the horse to beat, and I thought if I could get a good 2-hole trip in behind him, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, 124 and 3 down to the 3/4. You're pacing into unknown territory, and Dougie's working on his colt. You had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, that horse of mine, he just breezes along and paces so easy, and 124 and 3, he was still on the bid all the way.
Thank you very much, Paul McDonnell. Let's get John Lyons, one of the owners from Par Birdie. I imagine now everyone's golf score is going to improve by about 2 strokes.
Oh, we're real happy. We're going to stay down here the whole week.
I hear them cheering in the background. Tell us a little bit about the composition of these gentlemen. From what backgrounds do they come?
Well, they come from all professional backgrounds in the Buffalo area, all different kinds of things. What we have in common, we're all golfers. We got together, and I just would like to say one thing. There's one person that put this together, Bert Nash, all right, who had a very untimely death 2 years ago, and we all thought of him today. And he was the one that really championed the cause. And we wish he was here.
Our congratulations to him. When you're on the golf course, hit him long, straight, and not too often. What a thrill. Par Birdie stable, Paul McDonnell. Combined for the longest payoff in Breeders' Crown history, $140.60. Back in the paddock, here's Brad Diamond.
Now is Doug Brown. A stunned reaction back here on the paddock. And Doug, are you as stunned as everyone else?
I'm not stunned. I guess it was just the way the race went. He went his race and got beat.
Was he the last horse you expected to come up on the outside there?
Well, yeah, he kind of was, but with the trip he was getting, I just well, anybody could win out of a 2-hole trip, but I just didn't give him enough credit before we went into the race.
Would you have raced it any other way?
Well, if I had to do it over again, I'd do the exact same thing.
Okay, Doug Brown and Top Notcher, the first big upset of the night, unfortunately, was at the expense of that duo. Now let's go back to Bruce.
All right, let's check in with Stan Bergstein.
There is such a thing as a trip. The horse had the trip, but you still have to go there. You still have to keep up, and you still have to be able to come out of the hole and win it. And Bay's Fella did, and breaks a misconception. Many people think you have to have a ton of money to be in the horse business. They think it's a sport for the wealthy. This indicates that it is not. This horse has now won almost $800,000, well over $750,000. And it was a $600 investment on the part of the 20 people who had stopped fooling around and said, let's stop all this talk and go buy a horse. You heard the story of how they did it, and you just saw what the horse did. And trip or not, he did it. He paced it, and he was there first at the wire, and he had a lot of very good horses behind him who could have had the opportunity if they had enough pace. They didn't, and he is the winner at $140 payoff, Bay's Fellow. Now to Brucebeck.
Thank you, Stan, and congratulations to trainer Michael Domino. Here are the exotic payoffs. The Perfecta 4 and 7 Bay's Fellow Top Notcher, $427.80. And the Superfecta 1, 2, 3, and 4, you have to pick in that order, almost $5,000.